Welcome back, and I'm delighted to introduce another truly global panel of leaders as we turn our focus to the topic of partnerships. So for this session, I'm pleased to welcome Andrea, the CEO of our partner Impact 17, who'll be joined by 4 MB100 winners, Abeer Ghaith, the CEO of MENA Alliances, Francesco Piazzesi, the CEO of Échale Casa, Keely Catwells, the CEO of Sea Talent, and Olcay Silahlı, co-founder and CEO of Fazla Gida. So Andy, over to you.
Thanks very much, Tom. So welcome to this session called Partnering for Impact. What is the key to successful collaborations? It's a pleasure to be co-hosting this session with Meaningful Business on behalf of Impact 17 and with the speakers from all around the world today. As you heard, I'm the CEO of Impact 17. Partnering is our passion, and having a positive impact on society is the reason we do it. I've been working on partnering related issues on sustainable development, humanitarian issues, armed conflict. The main thing I've learned is that actions speak louder than thought leadership, now more than ever. And today you'll be hearing about the experience of 4 Meaningful Business 100 winners and their perspectives on partnering, but they're not just going to be preaching at you, because most important of all, you'll hear their call to action, the help they need to increase their impact from you. We want you to help them with your views, advice, suggestions, and offers of support. So make your fingers active in the chat function. And we'll get round to trying to answer and respond to your comments after we've heard the speakers speak. Now let's start with Abeer Ghaith, the CEO of MENA Alliances. Abeer, tell us a bit about your business and how you work with partners. You're still on mute.
Thank you, Andy. It's very nice to be with you today and share my experience in building MENA Alliances. Actually, MENA Alliances, it's a social enterprise that connect global companies with top talented people in the Middle East and North Africa. We especially focus on women and young people in disadvantaged and conflict areas who lack the opportunity to learn, network, and even to have opportunity. So working in this very tough environment require from us to work with the partners. Actually, this is a must if you want to succeed here. So I always consider MENA Alliances like working in kind of ecosystem that consists of universities, government, donors, clients as well, and even with NGOs who's very active in this region. Now, when I work with my partners, usually I'm looking to engage them in the challenge, and we think together how we can solve it. Even if I'm working even with the clients, that's very important to engage them in the challenges that we have, and building it like a win-to-win situation. Because, for example, when I work with universities, these universities want to making sure that their students will find job at the end. So, and as a company, I always connected with the industry leaders and the companies. I understand what they are looking for. So we're trying to find like to speak together about the demand and how we can fill this demand. Now, this is kind of partners that I'm looking for, but I actually recently I start to think that there is some partners who have to be engaged with our businesses, like for example MNCs like Facebook, like Twitter, or even Google, to work with us, because alone we can't make a huge difference if we don't collaborate together. So for example, I'm working in Gaza, and Gaza lack the infrastructure. They don't have electricity all the time, and they don't have, that means that they don't have, for example, internet sometimes. This is number one. So the infrastructure is important for us to offer job opportunities. In addition to that, we need, for example, from them to offer remote internship for our young people and women in the conflict areas and in the disadvantaged area. In this way, we will bridge the gap between what the market need and also what we have now with the skills and also with education. So if we find this kind of collaboration, our impact will be more sustainable, and it will also be much bigger.
Thank you very much, Abeer. There's a lot to take in there in such a short amount of time. But we'll move swiftly on to Keely. Keely Wells, who's the CEO and founder of C Talent in the US. What about you, Keely? What does your business do and relative to partnerships, and what is it that you're looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I became disabled in my teens, and I lost a job because of the lack of knowledge and accessibility in the workspace. So that's why I founded C Talent, and we now work with companies and brands like Nike and Google and Fenty and Lego and more, helping them be inclusive beyond compliance and reach new audiences and customers and potential by connecting them to an untapped pool of disabled talent who we represent at C Talent. And it's a lot of the time we talk about allies and the importance of allies. And I think when partnering, it's crucial that we are allies for each other and the work that we're doing, each other's work, even though it may be completely different. We're so passionate about each other and each partner being active and consistent and advocate for the missions of what we're all trying to do. I think, the other person or the company has to advocate for maximum inclusion. I think in anything that we do, no matter what the role, no matter what the job, no matter what the company is doing, there can't be any bias. There has to be the advancing of equity. And what we're really working towards is implementing universal design, which is something that it's basically just good design. It means that a space is usable, accessible, and meets everyone's needs, not just a certain type of person or just a few people. So a great ally or a great partner for us is really those who we can work directly with, have the potential to impact people directly and understand or are willing to work on the basis that they know that corporate policies, however well-intentioned, can only go so far.
Thanks very much, Keely. So we've heard a lot about inclusions and the needs in the Middle East from Abeer and Keely. And now we're going to go very quickly over to Olcay Silahlı. I'm going to pronounce that again. Olcay Silahlı. Olcay Silahlı. Who's the co-founder and CEO of Fazla Gida in Turkey. Olcay, what about you? What are you up to in a partnering world?
So indeed, I mean, we are a technology-based food waste management company. So we are applying the food recovery hierarchy principles into taking it from theory to the practice. We are helping our business partners, companies, to apply food recovery hierarchy into their daily management of processes, surplus, I can say. So since it's that way, in every layer of the food recovery hierarchy, there you need to make partnerships with different institutions. Like if you want to liquidate and sell the surplus, then you need to create outlets. But then the second layer, you need to donate it. Then you need to make partnership with the NGOs and municipalities and other charity organizations. Then the other layer comes in with animal feed. So then you need to make partnerships with animal feed processing facilities and the industry. And after that, if you can't make the animal feed with the surplus, then you need to use it in biogas. So then you need to make partnerships with the biogas and other recycling companies. So all in all, we are partnering with different institutions to be able to providing all the recovery options according to food recovery hierarchy. And in that essence, actually, when we started back in 2017, the first job for us to kickstart the donation practice in Turkey. So before us, no retailer or food company was making food donations. They were all going to landfill. So we started teaching them actually, first of all, what's food recovery hierarchy and what's the right thing to do. And then when we started checking, we couldn't find enough food banks around, enough charities, etc. So that we visited around more than 60 municipalities around the country. We made presentations in the parliament in the country, and we visited even the ministries. So to tell them what to do, to initiate the food banking processes and even regulating the laws. So we changed the VAT law in Turkey that is giving back incentive now to companies back in 2019. So it hastened the donation processes. So these are just small examples. There are lots of partnerships around going on this. So as just previous speakers mentioned, that problem is a huge problem that we cannot solve it by ourselves. So we build up all the solutions and services around partnerships to be able to provide all the ecosystem and the best match and quick coordination. So far, we have saved around 20,000 tons of food. And on a monthly basis, we are delivering food to people in need, around 1 million people all over Turkey, including Syrian refugee camps. So our main ambition now is to go global, starting from Germany and going to Europe, bringing the impact and creating this partnership ecosystem in Europe as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. And the last speaker that we have is Francesco Piazzesi, who's the CEO of Échale to Casa in Mexico. Francesco, what about you and your experience?
Hi, how are you? Great to be here. This is really fantastic. And the name of our venture, it's not anymore a venture, our program. It's Échale to Casa, which means put your heart into your home. We provide housing for the underserved, the families that live in precarious conditions all around the world. We have built with the communities more than 250,000 housing solutions in these 25 years that we have been working in this. And our business is really to work with the people, to work with the communities, and to provide the communities all the means to have an affordable home. This is a paradox. The layerman that does not has that build homes, he does not has a home. It's like saying the fisherman is starving. That's not going to happen. Around the world, there are 1 billion people that live in these conditions, and but that's the statistics. The reality, it's a family without a home. It's a drama. It's a tragedy. So we partner with national or international organizations, mainly with impact investment funds. We are not philanthropy. We are a program for community development, and we switch it for the whole community development, including the 17 SDGs in a community, and we have inaugurated our first SDG community in Southeast Mexico with 500 homes. And now what we want to look, where we are looking for, it's to partner with other initiatives around the world that can provide us. We need to be partnering with people from different countries. We can't go into another country saying that we have the solution for housing for the underserved. So we need to partner with investment funds, with community and community leaders, and as well with the government. As we know, if you work with any social issue, when you touch it, it's like touching a quantum gate, and you go through a lot of things and they're going to be there. because we are in the land of the politics and so on. So that's what we do, housing for the underserved, community development for the SDGs, and we are looking for partners for other parts of the world. Thank you very much.
Francesco, I'm going to come back to you just to ask you to elaborate a little bit more. If you are making a call to action where you're asking for others to work with you to expand your program in those countries, in those other countries, what do they need to know about you, and what specific questions do you need to ask them?
What the more important part is what they need to be in touch with the community. That's the first step. From there, we can elaborate all the program in different countries. Now we are going to Africa, to Ghana, and to Uganda. And the first step there was who can reach a community with this idea. And we already, well, it took us a little, but we already have the contacts there. And what do they know? They need to know about us. Well, we obviously provide everything that is needed, but that we are willing to work with the people and by the people. And but we need, yes, the first step is to get in touch with the community, and from there elaborate all the program.
Mm-hmm.
And just to finish off and give you a chance to comment on what the other panelists have presented, do you have any feedback from them based on your experience, any suggestions or advice?
Well, yes, suggestions. Let's find a spot. Let's find workshop, a place that we can join together, a showroom that we can put together all our initiatives and provide the solution for one community. As I said, we don't need to solve all the problems in the world. We need to start with one community, and that will be my suggestion. And we are open to it. And if you made to come to Mexico, we are more than pleased. And if we can go to other countries, just say us, and we are going to be there next week.
Thank you very much, Francesco. That's very positive and action oriented. Olcay, can you remind us what your call to action is? I mean, you presented what you do, and it's quite inspiring. What are you looking for? What would make it easier for you to scale the impact of your work through partnering?
So since actually, in order to scale abroad out of Turkey, let's say, we need to understand the local ecosystem and create a partnerships ecosystem, as I just mentioned. In order to be properly function, we need to have the partners with the food banks, like all the processing facilities and the recycling companies. So in that terms, especially in Europe, in that ecosystem, anyone hearing, I would love to talk and make the partnerships and learn about the local needs and the regulations. That's very key for us. And the second thing I can say is that we are not only a company that is helping them to manage in a daily basis, but also we are kind of a consultant, let's say, giving them the true path, the compass, and design all the processes from scratch. Like we are changing the perspective of every company on waste management, and we are redesigning their processes. So in that perspective, any company who just wants to revisit their processes, they can just reach out to us. And currently we are making feasibility studies like in Russia, in Italy, etc., a couple of companies. So that is making us understand new countries faster and also helping them even today. So looking for opportunities.
And what about you in terms of what you've heard from the other speakers? Is there anything that from your experience you think would be useful for them?
I mean, it's a very local one so far in Turkey, no abroad experience, but the main strength for us has always been the model that everyone wins with the partnerships model. and the clarity and the transparency in all the supply chain and all the reporting lines. So if we are talking about the impacts and scaling, the trust and transparency and the partnerships is the key. That is what we have learned so far, and that is what we are betting, which is also giving us organic growth without any pushing from our side as well. So that's what I would recommend and suggest.
Great, thanks, Olcay. So Keely, you know what question I'm going to ask you, right? You presented the case for inclusion very well and in a quite inspiring way. What do you need to make that happen? It is a crucial aspect of any partnership. So, but what do you need to take partnering world to a new level?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would say, firstly, your marketing and your advertising has such an incredible power. It's seen by so many people. And when you're working on that process, when you're in development, think about all of the different users and customers and people that you are going to want to reach, and maybe people that you haven't thought of before. And in your marketing and advertising, hire disabled people in front and behind the camera, in front and behind the process. And to do that, you need to be willing and thinking about your locations, your physical locations online, in person or other, and implement that universal design as I previously spoke about, which means an environment or a space is accessible, usable, convenient, and just a pleasure to use for everyone. And by considering those needs, it will bring you more work and bring you more business. So I would say to everyone and to all companies, we can help you with that. And if you just put that thought in your mind that you want to attract more business, put simply, then be sure to work on that accessibility, implement universal design, hire disabled people, fund disabled people, and repeat. So, I would say be a part of this new gold standard, and to everyone who's willing and ready to partner, think about accessibility and inclusion as not just a good thing to do or the right thing to do, but also a smart thing to do.
Yeah, I totally get that. I think that you've made the case as well. I think that the people listening understand that too. I'm going to push you a little bit harder on this though, Keely. In terms of Keely and See Talent, what do you want? What do you need to take that advocacy message to the next stage?
Yeah, well, we want all brands, all companies, anyone who has a business and that is willing and ready and open to tapping into a market that they may not have tapped into before, to work with us to go beyond their comfort zone and implement all of these things that they may not have thought about, and hire disabled people. We talk about hiring disabled people, but often people don't want to do the work to get to that new pool and that untapped pool of talent. So we want people to, and those companies, I mentioned the companies that we do already work with, like Google and Nike and those big brands, but it can be anyone. So no matter how big you are, no matter how small you are, everyone can make an impact, everyone can make a difference, and everyone can make more money by implementing accessibility and inclusion. So I would say that.
So to interpret what you said, if companies want to implement inclusion in their partnering strategies and in their workplace, they should get in touch with you to see how you can help them more specifically. That's what you're looking for.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, great, thanks. Abeer.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned briefly, I'm going to give you a chance to repeat your call to action, but also to be as specific as you can in the kinds of partnerships that you're looking for, the kinds of support that you need to take your partnership work to the next stage and have a real impact on in people's communities.
Yeah, so actually, Andy, I'm always looking for two things or three things, let's say, when I'm doing partners. So I'm aiming to be sustainable in terms of social and in terms of financially sustainable. so I can make more impact. The other thing is the scalability. The scalability, it's really important for us, how we can scale this impact to influence the life of more people in disadvantaged area and also in conflict areas. So this is very important for me when I'm looking for partners to do so. And actually, of course, the vision. So we have the same vision and the same things. Is to give people opportunities, equal opportunities, because talents are, talent equally distributed, but opportunities are not. So I believe that that giving people in disadvantaged area opportunity to work and to be involved in the market, it will help also the companies in the Western world to be more innovative, to also to solve the big challenge that they face currently, which is the shortage of talent that they have. So I believe it's a win-to-win situation for everyone. And now, regarding what the call to action, I will tell you example to be more specific. So, for example, I'm currently working with, we currently working with startups in the US, in Silicon Valley, in Germany, and others. All these startups want to hire senior developers, for example. And in Palestine and the MENA region, we have senior developers, but it's not, they are exist, but also we have a junior developers who need support, who need training, who need opportunities to start work and to become senior. But these startups, they said, okay, we don't have time to train those people. So my suggestion is to partner with MNCs like Google, like Facebook, like Twitter, to work together to offer remote internship for those young people to break the lack of opportunities that they have. So if we can do that, that will make bigger impact. We will solve the problem. So they will, from one hand, these companies, they will have a recruitment pipeline to source them, or this pipeline, it will help them in the future. And at the same time, we will offer those people opportunities, even job opportunities, even if it's not in these big companies, but at least they will have opportunities to work that. My team and I worked very hard to convince those companies, but we need like a platform to start speak out and to just mention how it's important this collaboration will be on the life of many of young people and women. And by the way, I believe also that will make our region more stable, because what it's make it very tough environment and conflict, it's the lack of opportunities, because that's will create lack of hopes for people.
Sorry, Abeer, we've lost you there. We will come back to you when your sound is corrected.
They lack.
We'll come back to you. We'll just give us a few minutes, and we'll come back to you to finish what you're saying. In the meantime, I'm going to give the other speakers a chance to ask each other questions and to delve deeper, because we've heard about the different perspectives in Mexico and in Turkey about inclusion. But from your background and what you've heard from the other people speaking, you've probably got opinions about their work. And now, Keely, I think yours is quite obvious to what you would say to both the other speakers about inclusion. But in terms of any other aspects of their specific presentations and what you have experienced, do you think there's any warning signs for them that you would want to draw their attention to? Or on the opposite side, any opportunities that you think they could take advantage of based on your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess, the first questions that usually come up for us when we're partnering with a new company or helping a company become accessible beyond compliance is, what's the cost going to be? It's going to be too expensive. We don't have it in the budget. We didn't budget for this. And usually our response is that there is a big misconception that accessibility has to cost a lot of money. It really doesn't. It's in those small things. It kind of, pardon the pun, it's accessible to everyone. You don't have to have a massive budget to make it work for you and to create an accessible space. So I guess that's one, misconception or question that may come up when you're thinking about implementing accessibility. And the other misconception that we come up with a lot is that we just couldn't find disabled talent. We wanted to hire them, but we just couldn't find any. And to that, I say, look in untraditional places. Disabled people tend to not take the most traditional routes through life. For instance, with me, I couldn't go to school or college or university because of my health conditions. So I took a very untraditional trajectory through my career and life. So I'd say look in untraditional places.
Great, thanks very much, Keely. I will come back to Olcay and Francesco for a similar question, but we'll return to Abeer again now. Abeer, you were just talking about what you are precisely looking for using the examples. So back to you. Let's hope that the sound works again now.
Okay, so I was speaking about the example of having, for example, or engaging the MNCs like Facebook and Google, Twitter, and even Cisco to be part of solving or solving the problem of lack of or shortage of skill set. And I was speaking about that. We are dealing now with companies like, for example, from Silicon Valley, but all these companies, and in Germany, but all these companies as a startup, they want senior developers to work with. And when we, because they don't have time to train them and they don't have the budget. But now when we think about engaging MNCs to train or to offer remote internship now, I don't say internship in United States, but at least in a remote internship, that will make those people, will transform the junior people to become like more senior people. And in this situation, we will have a win-to-win situation, because these companies will create like a recruitment pipeline for them in the future, and at the same time they will make impact. So that's what we called it, impact hiring. So you will do impact hiring here, and you will that in this way we will have more sustainable solution and also more scalable solution. We will help a lot of companies to overcome, especially in the Western world, to overcome the biggest challenge in the world right now, which is the lack of the lack of talents that they face.
Right, thanks. Well, I think there's a link here, and I'm going to ask Olcay to comment that on the kinds of partners that you're looking for, Abeer, seem to be the kinds of partners that Olcay has a great deal of experience in developing and working with. So Olcay, what kind of advice would you give to Abeer in hearing what she's trying to set out to do?
Can you just repeat the last part? I couldn't get it.
Yeah, it's about the kinds of partners that you have the experience of working with.
Yes.
Seem to be the kinds of partners that Abeer is looking to develop partnerships with. So what kind of particular advice would you give to Abeer on working with those kinds of partners?
I think the good thing you asked about Abeer, because I was thinking about her business at the same time. Currently, for instance, the problem, first of all, let's start from that place. In Turkey, we are having such a problem as well with the very unlimited number of engineers, the software developers. Although we have raised them lots of in numbers, they all moved to either Europe or US or working remotely. So that's a big problem for us as well, for instance, to get the qualified seniors or having a program for juniors. So in that perspective, you tapped into the idea of making partnerships with Google, Twitter, etc. But indeed, yes, startups don't have the time to develop people maybe. but you can also make partnerships with lots of startups with small programs that we did with the we made a hackathon and an academical program for like 1.5 months in Turkey. So we hired lots of engineers from that, but still not enough. And the second thing is that it's very, I mean, it may change from country to country, to regulations, of course. But in countries like us, in the developing countries, you can also make partnerships with the Ministry of Education and also like with the Ministry of Trade. Because, you know, currently working as a software engineer is also like from remote distance. Also, it means that you bring money to the country, but still working and spending it in your country. That might also get some support functions from ministries, I guess. So when we say partnerships, it's not only the private big giants, but more like NGOs or the institutions like ministries and municipalities.
Yeah. Yeah, let me say something for you all. Let me say something that in Palestine also we have a lot of donors. So we are working with the donors, with NGOs as well. But I think that again, I will back again to the point that we want to have a sustainable solution. Financially and socially, we will not depend on the donor all of our time. We need to be we need also to be self-sustainable, and we can do that by focusing also or engage the demand side, which is from the private sector. That's why I'm saying MNCs. You are right about partnering with the government, with NGOs. We already doing that, and we have a very successful partnership, for example, with organization based in UK who offered us the curriculum to develop to train our developers on some skills that they needed in to work online, for example. So this is something that I agree with totally with you, but also let's think about how we can be self-sustainable.
Okay, two small things before leaving, and then I didn't mean a donation, by the way, Abeer. It's more like a private, just like private sector, you can make programs with ministries of education, etc., because they need it as well, they support it. And the second thing is that you can also reach out to the angel networks, angel management networks around countries like Turkey, etc., because these networks are also kind of hubs for us to reach out to the new engineers, etc., and you can also start collaborations for business partnerships.
So moving quickly along, I want to ask the three of you, Olcay, Abeer, and Francesco, about how the work that Keely has been talking about, the inclusion, especially of the disabled people, how that can help you. If you were to listen to everything that Keely said and all the things that she says are true, how you can integrate that into your work, where you're looking to build people capacities, one, and quickly as well, when you're talking about that, thinking about Francesco and his project, looking to expand into other countries, what would he need to do that in Palestine or Turkey? So those are two questions to all of you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, let me say for Kylie, it's that's the point that you focused on it. It's really important. So having diverse team, it will enrich the innovation and the creativity inside any companies. So when we have a diverse team, including disabilities people or people who have disabilities, or even more women in tech side, or even people from conflict area, from disadvantaged area, that will enrich the creativity and will increase, will make a big difference. So I believe that this is something important, and even in our work, it's really essential, because we have a lot of people who affected by the war on Gaza. So they have disabilities, or they suffering from a lot of problems, actually, and that's I'm working with it on daily basis. So we open, for example, we have a lot of people who's working remotely who have disadvantaged or who have disability, sorry. So because the remote work, it's enabled them to work remotely, and it gives them opportunity. There is no limitation on that. I believe that her work, Keely work, it's really essential to do awareness for companies, how it's important to engage those people in their teams.
I'm just going to interrupt there. Despite the questions I asked you, 45 minutes is never enough. As you know, I'm based in Geneva, Switzerland, so the timing and finishing on time is of critical importance, or we will never be able to sleep at night. So I'm going to gradually bring this to a close. I'm really pleased to see, Abeer, to draw your attention to a comment from Stuart Mills from Salesforce in the chat. That's exactly the kind of response we're looking for. And also from Owalabi, there are some fantastic contributions there. It's not been enough. I hope that you will all stay in touch with each other, because I see lots of common ground where you can be helpful to each other. Meaningful Business will make sure that you are contactable. But for now, thanks to everyone for all your contributions. It's exactly what we're looking for. It looks like the right people are in the right place at the right time, and you know what's possible when that happens. So thanks to our partners at Meaningful Business for allowing Impact 17 to be part of this, Tom. And I'll see you all in the networking sessions. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you, Andy. And thank you, Abeer, Francesco, Keely, and Olcay, for being so clear with your advice and call to actions. As Andy said, if anyone in the audience can help with any of those requests, let us know and we can make the necessary introductions. Our next session is on investing in impact, what makes a happy marriage. We'll be hearing from some entrepreneurs and investors on both sides of the table. So we'll see you back here in a couple of minutes.